We have made it to the All-Star break here in year number 5 of the Miami Marlins franchise, and it has certainly been an up and down season. Our team has really dealt with a lot of adversity, really struggling through the months of May and June, but we're hoping here as we've really started to figure some things out and play better, that we'll be able to carry this momentum through the trade deadline, which is where we're going to make it today. We're currently 52-39, and we're coming off back-to-back sweeps against Toronto and Detroit, neither of whom are great, but we have not swept anybody since the end of April. We're going to take all the wins we can get. We have really missed Woody Landry and Jazz Chisholm, who have been injured for most of May and June, but Woody Landry has come back within the last couple of weeks, and Jazz Chisholm will be joining him after the All-Star break. We're 4.5 games behind the New York Mets in the division, and we are currently firmly the number 2 wild card in the NL, although we are catching up to the Dodgers, who are the first wild card, and the other teams are not too far behind us. That last wild card spot, we're only 2.5 games in, so we've got to make sure we continue to play well after the All-Star break. Otherwise, that could lead to some trouble. Since we've made it to the All-Star break, we've also made it to the MLB draft, and we really have not talked about any of these prospects yet, so I'm excited to really dive into some of these guys here. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but I did want to get through the draft today and show you guys who will be the newest prospects of the Miami Marlins. I don't really know how many more seasons we're going to be doing, definitely at least going through seasons 7 to 8. So because of that, I don't think a lot of these guys will be contributing at the major league level during the actual series, which is why I really haven't put much attention onto these prospects during the year, and which is why we're going to be getting through the draft within around 5 minutes today. But I think it's a pretty intriguing group. There's a lot of players who could fall to our top pick who are projected to go in the 30s and 40s, but our scouts believe are some of the best players in this draft. So if this board plays out well, we could get 1 or 2 guys who end up being some of the best players in the draft, being that we have 2 top 35 picks. So let's get this show on the road. The Washington Nationals, with the number 1 pick, will select Pete Taylor, an outfield prospect, 18 years old. Not a guy we expected to go number 1, but he looks pretty solid. With the 2nd overall pick, the Colorado Rockies select Steven Melendez, a starting pitching prospect. He was the projected number 1 pick, and he looks like he's going to be as good as advertised. With the 3rd pick, the Oakland Athletics select Adrian Moreno, a shortstop prospect, somebody who could have been on our radar for pick 27 had he fallen, but he does not. As for some of the guys we like, unfortunately, Pedro Chavez goes at pick 4 to the Royals. I didn't expect him to fall. Unfortunately, he does not. Yusniel Armas goes with the 5th pick to Toronto. Let's make our way over to 27 now. Overall, I feel like the board ended up playing very well towards our favor. Just a couple picks to go now. And ultimately, a lot of the guys who our scouting department ranked highly all ended up staying on the board, and we're going to have our choice between some really good prospects here. The 2nd best player according to our scouts, the 3rd best player, the 6th, 8th, a lot of good players here. But really, as I look at the guys on the board, I think it comes down to these top 2, Frank Negron and Omar Nieve. So with the 27th pick in the 2027 MLB draft, the Miami Marlins select Omar Nieve, a 19-year-old shortstop prospect from Kentucky. So we're going to go with the JUCO product here at pick 17. I think this is a really intriguing prospect who's got some real power upside. I think he can hit for good contact, and I think he's a solid defensive prospect. It's so much harder to find position players down the board, in my opinion, than pitchers, and I'm picking him knowing that he probably does not make it to pick 35, and knowing that Frank Negron probably does not make it to 35. And sure enough, Negron would go off the board with the final pick in the 1st round of the Tampa Bay Rays. It is more likely that Nieve probably would have made it to the 35th pick, but I really did not see a world where one of those guys fell, and I just felt like the best move was to pick the guy who we felt would be the better prospect for us, and in my opinion, that's Omar Nieve. We have some good infield prospects within the system, but I think he's going to probably give us more upside than what we have with guys like Khalil Watson, Ariel Amador, and Ronald Andino. So that'll bring us on the board here with the 35th overall pick, and as you can tell, a lot of the highest ranked players here are pitchers, which is ultimately the biggest reason why I went with Nieve. So with the 35th pick in the 2027 MLB draft, the Miami Marlins will select starting pitching prospect Matt Griggs. He's an 18-year-old lefty hailing from Canada. The walks per 9 looks really good. The hits per 9 looks pretty solid. These are the attributes you need as a pitcher in this game, and I want to add more lefties into the system. We have Hitoki Nomo, who's developing well. He's currently in AAA, but I want more, and Matt Griggs gives us more. That'll bring us into the second round. There is plenty more talent here, especially with the pitchers, but maybe we go with a position player here who we don't think makes it to our third round pick at 102. So with the 60th pick, the Miami Marlins select Franklin Saucedo, an 18-year-old catching prospect out of Arkansas. I looked at second baseman Derek Dempsey as well, but ultimately I think Saucedo is the move. Joel Beltran really has not worked out. He's had 2 long-term injuries this year, and I'm not convinced we have our long-term catcher on the roster, and I like the upside that Saucedo brings to the table. That'll bring us into the third round with pick 102. Now we're in the triple digits. With the 102nd pick in the 2027 MLB draft, the Miami Marlins select Gilberto Villalobos, an 18-year-old second base prospect from Florida. I think this is somebody who's got some good upside. I like his physical tools. The medical is a question mark. He did not partake in his physical exam, but I think he's a talented enough player to take a risk on at 101. Plenty of pitchers still on the board. We've been waiting for these guys to fall, and ultimately they do. With the 132nd pick, the Miami Marlins select Wade Rockwell, a 21-year-old college pitching prospect from Australia. Our scouts believe this is the gem of the draft, putting a top 10 grade on him. I knew he'd fall a little bit farther, but here in the fourth round, we're not going to risk it anymore. We're going to get our guy. That'll bring us into the fifth round. With the 162nd pick in the 2027 MLB draft, the Miami Marlins select Quinn Gordon, an 18-year-old left-handed high school pitching prospect from the Dominican Republic. So now we're getting all of our pitchers who we find to be potential gems, with Gordon being the next on the list, and that'll bring us into the sixth round. We have a choice between maybe 8 players here. It's not a lot. With the 192nd pick in the 2027 MLB draft, the Miami Marlins select Dennis Bautista, a third base prospect from Illinois. He's a 4-year college player. I think he's going to have good enough upside. The floor will be high enough. Maybe we're looking at someone who can contribute in the major leagues down the line. So that'll wrap up the 2027 MLB draft. I'm not sure how many of these guys will contribute for us during the actual series, but I really like our top pick, Omar Nieve. Again, our scouts believe he's a top 3 player within this draft. Matt Griggs and Wade Rockwell were also given top 10 grades. Our scouting department is so good at finding pitchers down the board. Robbie Jones and Hitoki Nomo were both picked out of the first round, and they're arguably our 2 best prospects. Tyrell Berry was also picked out of the first round, and he's contributed at a high level in the big leagues at just 19 years old, and we have plenty of pitching depth in the farm system as well, and that's because we know how to find pitchers down the board, and I think we found 2 or 3 more. As we go to the All-Star break, again, I think our team is in a really good spot. Our offense statistically has been one of the better units in baseball, but the problem here has been health. We've only had 1 player play 90% of our games, and that's Bo Bichette, who has played every game. With Jazz Chisholm coming back off the 60-day injured list, somebody has to replace him, right? The day after he was taken off the IL, Nick Fortes broke his hand. He'll be out for 2 to 3 months, which is pretty much the most duration of this season. Fortes missed a lot of time with an injury last year, and if he hypothetically were not to return, he would only play 50% of our games over the last 2 years. As for the pitching, the issue here has been consistency. Edward Cabrera and Sandy Alcantara have both looked like aces, but the middle of our rotation has not been consistent, and our bullpen has honestly been a quiet problem. Our bullpen has been so inconsistent throughout the duration of the year, but it has been good over the last 6 games. So let's start off with the Home Run Derby, and then we will go into the All-Star game itself. And I am excited to announce that the Miami Marlins, for a 3rd consecutive year, will have a participant in the Home Run Derby here in Milwaukee. And of course, it is Bo Bichette, who has had a fantastic season, 25 homers, which is 2nd in all of baseball, only trailing Austin Riley in Atlanta. Bichette has been a legit National League MVP candidate, and he gets to show off his flair here at the Home Run Derby. Former Marlin Anthony Santander is here as well. He still has a negative WAR with Minnesota, but they're not paying him to play defense and hit singles. They traded for him to hit Tony Taters, and he has done exactly that, 4th in the American League in home runs. So that'll bring us here to the 2027 Home Run Derby here at American Family Field in Milwaukee, home of the Brew Crew. So Bo Bichette gets the luckiness or disservice of being the last player to hit here in the first round. He'll be going up against Kyle Tucker, who hit 12 homers in the first round. So we'll see how Bo Bichette can do as we are underway here with the final batter in round 1. Bo Bichette, of course, needs 2 440-plus foot homers for bonus time. And he's already at 3. He's looking pretty good so far. His first homer was foul. Other than that, he started off strong, but now he's really hitting them all foul. It looks like he's swinging a little bit early, not used to some of these slower pitches. But now, again, he's finding a groove, and he doesn't need a big number. He only needs 12 to beat Kyle Tucker, who had a pretty underwhelming first round. Bichette is barely on pace to beat him, but with having a timeout, I think Bichette's really going to start to focus here. He just got his first homer over 440 feet. I think now he's in a really good spot. There's 9. Can he get to 10 soon? It looks like he will, 436. He doesn't want to call the timeout. He wants to beat Kyle Tucker without having to use it. He's at 12. Can't get that one over. This one has a chance, and it does not drop. This one's a liner, and it's going to stay in the field of play. So he's going to call the timeout, and then he's going to hit a rocket in a straightaway center field to defeat Kyle Tucker and advance into the second round of the Home Run Derby. He'll be going up against Brett Beatty. Anthony Santander will go against Pete Alonso. Alonso ends up getting the job done while Beatty hits 17 home runs. So it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for us as we look to potentially make our way into the finals. Along with making it to the finals, I want to beat Brett Beatty because A, he plays for the Mets, and the Mets are winning the division, and B, Beatty's the other main NL MVP candidate along with Bo Bichette. So maybe this can be the ultimate tiebreaker if these two guys are still neck and neck at the end of the year. And right now, Bo is on a roll. He already has 8 home runs with 2.5 minutes to go, and he's not showing any signs of slowing down. At this current pace, he's not going to need the bonus time, although he does not have a homer above 440 feet yet, although he's been close a little bit, as he's going to call his timeout here with 12 homers and around 1:50 left on the clock. He should be able to get the job done, as he just needs 3 more. There's 15, 442 feet. There's home run number 1 for bonus time. That one goes into straightaway center. This for the tie. It's good. And now for the win. Does it have enough? It does! Bo Bichette is going to the final round of the Home Run Derby against Pete Alonso. And don't forget, this is Pete Alonso's Super Bowl. He has 17 homers right now, and he still has his bonus time, so that number very well could increase. What a final round here for Pete Alonso with one more swing. 21 home runs for Big Meat Pete. That's quite the number for Bo Bichette to defeat. Can he get the job done already? 445 on his first homer. His second one goes 437. Bo Bichette is on, folks. He is ready for the smoke against another division rival. Now, the Braves are a team who might want revenge over us. We beat them in the playoffs last year. We're ahead of them in the division right now. So I think they would rather these bragging rights than us, which is why I want to take it from them. Bo Bichette right now is doing pretty solid. He's on pace to basically be even with Alonso. Getting another home run of 440 feet is paramount. That probably could be the difference between Bo Bichette winning and losing, because now Bo Bichette's not going to get 21 homers within the regular time frame. I don't think he's going to get 10 swings within the regular time frame. He needs another one of at least 440 feet, and it looks like he could get the job done. There you go, 440. He'll get the bonus time. And now he's on fire. There's 16. Could this be 17? It is. Bo Bichette is cooking with an additional 30 seconds waiting for him. There's 18. And now the final swing before bonus time stays in the park. So he needs 3 homers to tie, 4 to win. It's not going to be easy, but so far so good. He's at 20. This for the tie. No. He's going to get one more swing, and he crushes it. No doubt about it. There you go. Bo Bichette with 21 home runs to tie Pete Alonso. So we're going to have a 60-second swing off with no additional time. And if it's still tied, we'll go to a 3 swing off. Pete Alonso will go first, being the lower seed. I think realistically, you're going to get 6, maybe 7 swings here. Pete Alonso's not going to give Bo much margin for error. He hits 5 homers. So with probably 7 swings incoming, Bo needs to be close to perfect. His first one stays in the park. There's 1. This is probably 2. He needs to be close to perfect, though. That one does not get out. He topped that one as well. I don't think he's going to do it. He might have one more swing. That one gets out, but it's not going to matter. Pete Alonso has won the Home Run Derby. Of course, this is Pete Alonso's World Series. Our World Series comes in October. Hopefully that quote won't bite me in the butt. All right, that'll bring us to the All-Star game in Milwaukee. But first, let's take a look at these All-Star rosters. And our Miami Marlins ended up with 4 players who will be attending the Midsummer Classic. That includes 1 starting pitcher, being Edward Cabrera, which is very well deserved. Cabrera will make his 2nd consecutive All-Star nod, although he will not pitch in the All-Star game because he just pitched 7 1/3 innings 2 days ago in our previous game. So because of that, it does not make sense for him to throw another inning. He threw nearly 120 pitches in the last game of the first half of the season against Toronto, but still going to be good for him to be there, get the honor. There's a good group of starting pitchers with him, but no Sandy Alcantara. I feel like Sandy absolutely deserved to be an All-Star this year. I think he got robbed. He leads all pitchers in the National League in pitching WAR. He leads all pitchers in baseball in WHIP. His ERA is at 2.79. The only thing going against him is his 5-8 record, but it's not his fault that he gets barely any run support in the games that he pitches. So nonetheless, I'm happy Edward Cabrera is there, but I feel like Sandy Alcantara 100% should be joining him, especially when you consider the fact, looking at the relief pitchers here, that Devin Williams is an All-Star. I don't get this one at all. Devin Williams has not been very good this season. Him making it over Sandy Alcantara is wild to me. There's no excuse for that. We ended up having 2 position players make it. The first one being, obviously, Bo Bichette. No surprise there. He will start in the All-Star game at shortstop. He's been one of the best players in baseball this year. He's played in every single game for us, and he's made himself a lot of money this year, being a full free agent at the season's conclusion. And then we have one more All-Star, being Luis Robert, in the outfield, which I think is also very well deserved as well. Robert has stayed healthy this year. He's already played more games than he did last year. He's hitting for good power. He's hitting for good average. He's playing good defense. Robert is really putting it together here in his age 29 season. Obviously, health has been the issue with him. Only 1 season of at least 100 games played. This year will hopefully be his 2nd. Here's a look at the American League All-Stars, with Zach Gallen of the Rangers being represented as the starting pitcher in the game. Here are your relievers. Emmanuel Clase, Guardians franchise legend, headlining the list there. As for the infield, Agustin De La Cruz in Kansas City. Big Gus makes his first career All-Star team at just 20 years old. And then there is the outfield. As for the minor league All-Stars, we'll start with Double-A. Fernando Cortez has had a great season. He will represent the Southern League in the All-Star game. Adolfo Jimenez will join him. Dalton Rushing, the catcher, has done a really good job with Joel Beltran, missing a large chunk of the year with injury. Matthew Lugo is a throw-in in the Alec Boehm trade. And then we also have Luca De La Cruz making it as well. As for AAA, we only had 1 All-Star, and it's a guy we just acquired, being James Wood. Wood has only spent half of his season in AAA with the Nationals and our organization. He spent a large chunk of the year in the big leagues where he really struggled, but I guess he's been good enough in the minors to make the All-Star team. But we're really focused here on the Major League All-Star game here in Milwaukee, the 2027 MLB Summer Classic. The Miami Marlins with 4 players in the All-Star game: Bo Bichette, Luis Robert, Edward Cabrera, and Devin Williams. You guys know the dragon meme where they all look tough and one of them is sticking their tongue out? Devin Williams is the dragon with the tongue stuck out. As we look at the lineups, Shohei Ohtani starting and playing DH here. The original starting pitcher was supposed to be Dylan Cease, but I think this is really the only way I can get Ohtani to pitch and hit. So, sorry Dylan Cease, you're not going to get to start today, buddy. We're going to simcast, and per usual, we're going to hop in whenever one of our guys gets an at-bat or will be pitching, although, as I said earlier, Edward Cabrera will not be pitching today. Bo Bichette's going to get to hit here in the first inning, and he's not going to do it with anybody on because the 2 Mets outfielders, Stephen Kwan and Brandon Nimmo, choose to be useless. Common Mets moment. Bo Bichette facing off against Zach Gallen, and Bichette grounds this one to third. Nice play at the hot corner by Rafael Devers, not known for his defense, but he makes the throw on his rear end to get out Bo Bichette. We're going to continue to simulate here, likely until Bo Bichette's next at bat. Shohei Ohtani will get one more inning on the mound, and it looks like he's doing pretty well. He's got Nathaniel Lowe, and he retires beside. As we go to the bottom of the second inning with Zach Gallen still on the mound, he walks Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and ultimately that's it. As we move into the third inning, not a lot of offense so far. Aaron Nola with the Cardinals is going to come into the game here. He allows an early double to Cedric Mullins, but he is caught stealing by the catcher, Tyler Stevenson. Kodai Senga with the Guardians is in the game as the bases have been loaded with one out for Bo Bichette. Oh, God. It's a Miami Marlin up with the bases loaded. 1-1 pitch, and Bichette jams this one into right field, and it is caught. Even in the All-Star game, the Marlins do nothing with the bases loaded. It's tradition, I guess. So it's up to Fernando Tatis Jr. We'll see if he can drive in some of these runs. Tatis, another potential NL MVP candidate with Brett Baty and Bo Bichette. And ultimately, Tatis grounds out. So the National League leads the bases loaded. I guess our Marlins might be, giving them a little bit too much of that bases loaded unclutched gene. Julio Urias, well-known woman respecter, makes it through the fourth. George Kirby is allowing a couple of base runners, but he makes it through the bottom of the fourth as we're still scoreless going into the fifth inning. With Dylan Cease finally getting his chance to pitch, he does well. Bottom five now, we're going to start to bring in some pinch hitters. In for Stephen Kwan will be Brian Reynolds with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He'll face off against Luis Severino. In for Brandon Nimmo will be Marlins outfielder Luis Robert, his first All-Star game as a Miami Marlin with the National League. Robert is behind 1-2, the pitch from his fellow Luis, and this one is grounded up the middle. Play should be made, and it will. An uneventful start for Luis Robert. Hopefully he gets at least one more at-bat here. Bo Bichette is next up, but he will also be replaced by a pinch hitter. We'll bring Trey Turner in the game for him, and he lines out. So still no score. The offenses really are doing nothing today as we move into the sixth. We're going to start to bring some of the relievers in, starting with Ryan Helsley. He makes it through the inning pretty easily. Bottom six now, continuing to bring in pinch hitters. Here's Kurt Kellenberger, who does not look like he does in the picture. He is actually pasty white. He'll face off against Shane Baz, who leads all pitchers in pitching war. And Kellenberger, the Onion, 19 years old, with a single. And then Michael Toglia, of all people, hits a two-run bomb to finally get the scoring started. Then we get another single from Munetaka Murakami. In for Shohei Ohtani will be one of the two catchers, Alejandro Kirk, who's missed most of the year. I don't really know how he's an all-star, but okay. He singles. Shane Baz is getting rocked right now. Gabriel Moreno is next. He draws a walk, and the bases are loaded with still nobody out. In for Ozzie Albies will be C.J. Abrams with the Nationals. He strikes out. That's a big one. Brian Reynolds with a fielder's choice, and now with two outs and the bases loaded, guess who's up? It's Luis Robert. The Marlins have another opportunity with the bases loaded, and that's a tough one. He checked his swing, but the umpire says he did not go around. So now the count is full with the bases loaded. Robert with an opportunity to break the game open. And oh my God, he did it! The Miami Marlins, with the bases loaded, did something clutch as the National League leads 4-0 off of a two-run single by Luis Robert. Now our guys are only going to be clutch with the bases loaded in the All-Star game, but hey, it's better than nothing. Shane Baz will be yanked out of the game and replaced by Yankees reliever Clark Schmidt. We'll see if he can make it out here with runners on the corners for Trey Turner, who will stay in the game. Big opportunity for Trey, and he grounds into a fielder's choice. So that'll bring us into the seventh inning. The National League with a 4 spot in the sixth, and now it's time for the bullpen to close it out. We'll start with David Bednar as he allows a home run to Jose Miranda, and it's 4-1. Gus is in the game. He grounds out, and Adley Rutschman strikes out as we go to the bottom of the seventh inning now. We're going to continue to bring some guys in off the bench. We only have 3 left, though. Luis Garcia, Michael Massey, and Darton Varshow. Varshow hits a double. Michael Toglia, who homered earlier with an RBI double, and it's now 3-0. Toglia is putting up a great case for the All-Star MVP. As Luis Garcia hits an RBI single, it's now 6-1. Moreno with a single, and that'll lead to a pitching change with Chad Green into the game. One of the runners is out. That'll bring up Brian Reynolds in the top of the order, and he grounds out. Into the 8th inning now, we're going to have Devin Williams pitch. I know he hasn't been good, but I want a Marlin to pitch, and it's his reunion in Milwaukee. We'll start with Alex Verdugo. He flies this one into left. Brian Reynolds under it. He makes the play for the first out of the inning. That'll bring us to the number 6 hitter, being Cody Bellinger. 3-2. Bellinger rips this one past the shift as Luis Garcia cannot make the play, and so that'll go for a double. So the American League has a runner on here as they try to cut into this lead. with Bellinger in scoring position for Cedric Mullins, who's played the entire game. He rips it down the line, his second hit of the night. Bellinger looks to score. It's an RBI single for Cedric Mullins, and it's now 7-2. So Devin Williams continues to allow runs as his season continues to not be a very good one, even struggling in the All-Star game. The catcher, Alfredo Herrera, last year's World Series MVP, goes down looking. And so that'll bring us to Andres Gimenez, who signed a massive contract for around $300 million in the offseason with the LA Angels. And he strikes out as well. He goes down on the screwball. Great pitch by Williams, who only allows one, as it remains a 7-2 ball game going into the bottom half of the inning. Alexis Diaz, now with the Angels, is in for the AL. His brother Edwin Diaz warming up in the bullpen, expected to pitch the 9th for the National League. Luis Robert leads off the inning. He had a 2-run single in his last at-bat, and dear God, what the hell are you swinging at? It's the All-Star game. I get you're going up there hacking, but jeez, man, that was not the pitch to hit. Trey Turner hits a double. We'll see if Barshal drives him in. He does not. Toglia does not either. So we'll go into the 9th. Edwin Diaz looking to finish the job off and get the save as Jace Young with the Tigers draws a walk, and then Corey Seager grounds into a double play, and that'll do it. The National League wins the 2027 All-Star Game by the score of 7-2. The American League usually owns the NL, but even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, and the NL gets the job done. Our Marlins did contribute. Bo Bichette 0 for 2. Devin Williams allows a run, but Luis Robert with a 2-run single in the 6th. At least he had a good game. Michael Toglia of the Colorado Rockies is unsurprisingly the All-Star Game MVP. He absolutely deserves it, going 2 for 3 with a homer, driving in 3 runs. I feel like this game often picks the wrong players from bad teams who don't have a worthy All-Star, but I guess they got it right with Michael Toglia because he played so well today. Shane Baz and Clark Schmidt really blew this game for the AL. Their other pitchers were all really good. All the starters who pitched did fantastic, but it was those two guys who lost it for him. And maybe Shane Baz's pitching WAR should go down. Maybe he won't lead all pitchers in WAR after an abysmal performance here in the All-Star game. So with that, our full focus is now on to the second half of the season. We've made it through the draft. We made it through the Home Run Derby. We've made it through the All-Star game. And now it's time to put all hands on deck as we try to push ourselves forward for this playoff run. And we've got some interesting games coming up here. Again, 52-39, 4.5 back of the Mets. And hopefully we can make up some ground going into the trade deadline. Jazz Chisholm is back in the lineup, which is a big deal. He'll mostly be playing in the infield for now because we've had all of our outfielders really playing well, and those guys are all going to stay in the lineup. I originally was planning on playing Cleveland, but Jose Ramirez is hurt, and their lineup without him really is not that good. So I kind of want to see the Pirates, because Pittsburgh's having a very good season. They are in contention for a wild card spot. We're going to play one of the games on the road, because PNC Park is absolutely beautiful. So we'll simulate the series against Cleveland and Colorado, both of which are at home. In AAA, Junior Caminero fractured shin. He'll go on the 60-day IL. That is not good. What is good is our team's performance against Cleveland. Not only do we sweep them, but we scored double-digit runs in all 3 games. The offense has awoken, everybody. The first game we win 11-2 with De La Cruz, Woody, and Wells all going deep. Sandy Alcantara, 8 innings, 1 earned run. We are mixing up the pitching order, and we had Edward Cabrera pitch this second game. There's no reason to have Cabrera on the shelf for a week and a half. So what we're going to do is have Sandy take that first spot and Edward Cabrera be the second pitcher. And then we win the last game 10-3. So that's 34 runs across the 3 games. I guess Jazz Chisholm's presence on our team really is that important. We're now just 2.5 games behind the Mets, and we've passed the Dodgers for the #1 wild card in the NL. Now we'll simulate through the Rockies series. I only stopped because I wanted to talk about how good we played. Gennaro Miller has come off the injured list. He is back. Steven Alez will return to AAA. He didn't pitch overly well. As for Gennaro Miller, he will not return to the rotation because Max Meyer and Tyrell Berry are both pitching really well. So we're going to give Miller a bullpen role. He's going to be used as a long reliever, and of course, he's going to continue to play offense. He was really hitting the ball well, hitting for great extra base power before he got hurt. So I think having him with the offense is going to be very nice. And as you can see here, we swept the Rockies, and it was the pitching that led the way. Sandy Alcantara with a complete game shutout in there as well. He is continuing to pitch out of his mind. The entire pitching rotation is on fire, and Sandy Alcantara is proving that he absolutely should have been an all-star. He leads the NL in pitching WAR, and I have no clue how he's not in the top 3 for the Cy Young. He's been just as good as Edward Cabrera, who deservedly is in first place. I also want to point out that since we've made it past the All-Star break, the contract extensions tab is back. We're not going to make any moves today, but of course, half of our roster basically is a free agent at the end of the year. And so we will probably try to re-sign some guys at the trade deadline. We're obviously not going to re-sign everybody now. We're probably not going to re-sign everybody to begin with, but we may try to get some of these guys locked up before we get into the offseason. We are now only half a game behind the Mets. We have won 12 consecutive games, sweeping 4 different opponents, and we have the 3rd best record in baseball. Remember when this team was struggling and we were considering selling some of our free agents at the deadline? Yeah, that was fun. But the guys have woken up with Woody Landry and Jazz Chisholm healthy. We have flipped a switch. I want to play in this second game against the Pirates. Get a look at Jeffrey Springs, so we'll simulate the matchup here with Edward Cabrera. And unfortunately, the win streak at 12 comes to an end. Cabrera pitched really well, 7 innings of 2-run ball, but we blew it in the 8th inning. It was Adonis Takadopoulos who sold the game. And so that'll bring us into Game 2 of the series. Our win streak is over, but hopefully we can start a new win streak here today. This is Game 2 of a 3-game set here at the beautiful PNC Park here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. For the first time in a while, these fans have something to cheer for with the Pirates finally playing some good baseball. Well alive in the National League wildcard race. I'm not sure if they'll catch Miami at this rate, but they are battling it out with teams like Chicago, St. Louis, Atlanta, amongst others. No Luis Robert today. He will likely sub in later in the game, assuming it's close. Huascar Ynoa will be starting for the Pirates. The former Brave has not had a great year. 5.22 ERA, 1.41 whip. And he'll face off against Brian De La Cruz, who has kind of become the new leadoff hitter over Luis Robert as he strikes out on the slider to get things started. Let's take a look at Jeffrey Springer, who will be pitching here for the Marlins. He's been up and down this year. We were hoping for more consistency from him, and we haven't really gotten it, but he's still been pretty solid. ERA below 4, whipping around 1.3. He'll face off against Justin Brown, who leads things off strong. This one hit well into the left center gap for extra bases. Gennaro Miller getting the start in the outfield today, chases over to it, but not before Justin Brown rips a double. And the Pirates have a runner here for Diego DeClerc. He goes down looking on the fastball. Good pitch for the first out. Brian Reynolds now hits it up the middle, deflects off of Springs' leg, and that'll go for an infield single. And Springs appears to be a little bit shaken up, but he will stay in the game. And this is relevant because I'm pretty sure it was just the last episode. Springer took a hard liner against the Mets, had to be taken out of the game, and then the bullpen fell apart in that inning because we didn't have anybody warming up. So luckily he's going to stay in as he gets out of the first inning, striking out the talented third baseman, Brian Hayes, leading to a board as we remain tied at 0. We'll see if either team can get something going here in the second. The rookie Isaac Stu is up with one away, and he rips this one high and deep in the left center field. Back at the track, at the wall, it'll bounce off the wall. Stu aboard at second with a double, and so the Marlins have a base runner. Isaac Stu, I feel like, has kind of hit the rookie wall, but he's still having a phenomenal year. The runaway favorite for the NL Rookie of the Year. Jesus Sanchez is up, rips it up the middle. That'll go for a base hit. Stu looks to score. The throw from Reynolds to the plate is a little bit offline. It's an RBI single for Jesus Sanchez, and the Marlins lead it 1-0. Not a bad start here to the second inning. We'll see if they can add some more runs, as that'll bring up Austin Wells, who goes down on the inside slider. Wells has played, honestly, really well at catcher since Fortes got hurt. And then Miller with a liner to first. It's caught by Daiki Fujita. Good inning for the Marlins. They put themselves on the board as we move into the second. Dalton Varsho, the all-star, hits it right between Springs' legs. He's lucky that one didn't deflect off of him as well. And so with one away, that'll give Pittsburgh a base runner. Marcelo Meyer rips it past the diving glove of Ha-Seong Kim. That'll go for a single with Varsho headed over to third. He is safe despite a good throw by Gennaro Miller. And so there are now runners on the corners and a nice opportunity for the bottom of the order. That'll bring up the catcher, Endy Rodriguez, who strikes out on the slider. Good pitch by Springs. Same situation as the first inning with runners on the corners and 2 away. Brown with a blooper and it'll drop. Chisholm unable to make the play. And so that will give Pittsburgh a run. We're tied at 1. Springs does not come up clutch unlike he did in the last inning. And so we're knotted up going into the third. Ha-Seong Kim goes down looking. That fastball did not look like it was in the zone, but they'll give him the call. Bottom 3, Bryan Reynolds starts feeding off strong, the all-star with the Pirates. Remember when the Marlins nearly traded for Bryan Reynolds a few years back? Obviously, they picked Luis Robert instead. Both Robert and Reynolds having fantastic all-star-esque seasons, with Reynolds signing a massive contract extension with the Pirates. And here's Daiki Fujita! Launches it into left field, a no-doubt shot. 2-run homer for Fujita, his 19th of the year, and the Pirates take the lead. It's now 3-1. Brian Hayes looking to keep the offense going. That's a single into right, and so Pittsburgh has 3 consecutive base runners to start the inning. That'll bring up Tamar Johnson, the former top 5 pick. He'll take a walk, and the base runners are going to keep on coming. A really rough start to the inning for Springs. Meyer grounds it to third. Chisholm over to Kim. Over to Woody Landry. It's a 5-4-3 double play. And so Miami's able to get out of the inning, only allowing the 2 off of the homer by Fujita. I suppose it could have been worse. Let's go top 4. Woody Landry leads things off. He'll take a walk. And so the Marlins start the inning with a base runner. We'll see if Miami can try to claw back within this lead, as that'll bring up Isaac Stu. Doubled and scored in his last at-bat. He rips this one again into left center field. Back at the track at the wall, it will once again bounce in the field of play, and it will bounce over the fence for a ground rule double. Runners on second and third here, and a huge opportunity for Jesus Sanchez, who drove in a run during his last at-bat. Oh, that's a tough pitch to lay off. It looked like that was a strike. Sanchez used to have the least generous strike zone, but this season I feel like the umpires have given him a lot of calls. 3-2, Sanchez up the middle. That'll drive in at least one. Stu looks to join. Reynolds with a dime to the plate. What a throw. He's out of there. Nonetheless, the Marlins get 1 off of the single by Jesus Sanchez, who has now driven in 60 runs this year. Sanchez has at least 60 RBIs in 4 of the 5 seasons within this series, but he's never gotten more than 62. Should be able to easily break that mark this year, hopefully within the next week or so. There's a single from Austin Wells, and the hits are going to keep on coming. The Marlins now with a big stretch as the first 4 batters of the inning get hits. Ha-Seong Kim now with 2 on, 2 away and a full count. He hits this one sharply into center, and it will drop. Sanchez looking to score. He'll be safe. Wells is safe at third, and we're tied at 3. Ha-Seong Kim with an RBI to knot this one up. Huge opportunity for Brian De La Cruz here at the top of the order to give the Marlins the lead back, and he will not. He strikes out on the slider as Huascar Ynoa gets out of the jam, but he allows 2 with an RBI single from Jesus Sanchez and then another RBI single from Ha-Seong Kim. Bottom 4, Diego DeClerc is up with 2 away, pitch from Springs, and he got him on the fastball. Much better 4th inning for Jeffrey Springs. He retires the side. That was a lot better than his last inning, as we're tied at 3 in what has been an offensive duel. So many base runners for these 2 teams, as Taylor Dollard comes out of the bullpen here for Pittsburgh. 5.72 ERA on the season. He'll face off against Jazz Chisholm with 1 away. That does not look like Jazz Chisholm's picture on the scoreboard, as he goes down looking on the curveball. Nice pitch by Dollard. 2 away now for Woody Landry. Drew a walk in his last at-bat and scored. And he'll take another walk. Good discipline here for Woody, who has really played well since coming back from his injury. He has not needed any time to adjust. He's been on fire. Isaac Stu looking for hit number 3. He'll get it! Isaac Stu, 3 for 3 today with 2 doubles and a single. And so now there's 2 runners aboard here for Jesus Sanchez, who's driven in a run in both plate appearances today. Hits this one sharply in a right field. Brown after it. He will make the play. Justin Brown getting the start here for Ray Parsons, the former number 1 pick in our first draft out of UCLA, who is getting the day off because he does not hit against lefties well. Speaking of our lefty, Springs still in the game with a short leash, as Bryan Reynolds is now 3 for 3, single into center. The leash that Springer's had was 1 base runner, and you're gone. He's allowed a base runner, so he is now gone. He'll be replaced out of the bullpen by Joe Shearer, the rookie, who has had a pretty good season. He started off red hot and has cooled down as of late, but overall he has had a pretty good year. Here's Daiki Fujita, homered in his last at-bat. This time he singles into left field, and the hits just keep on coming. These 2 pitching staffs both have really struggled today for the most part. 2 runners in scoring position now, and a huge at-bat for the second baseman, Tamar Johnson. He grounds it over to third. Chisholm's going to get the out at first. He could have sent that home, but it really wasn't worth the risk. Brian Reynolds probably would have been safe. So the Marlins are going to get the one out. Pittsburgh scores. They take the lead. And then Dalton Varsho crushes this ball into right center field. That baby is out of here. A 2-run blast for Varsho. His 24th home run of the year. And it's now 6-3. The Pirates have Varsho locked up for a while, and he has certainly played to earn every penny. He has been phenomenal this year as Meyer strikes out, but a big inning for Pittsburgh. They take 3 back as we go to the 6th, and the Marlins are going to start to go to their bench. Alec Bohm is a pinch hitter, grounds it to short. What a play by the Pirates to get the out. And then Luis Robert will come up as the next pinch hitter, replacing Gennaro Miller and Ha-Seong Kim. Full count here for the All-Star, and Robert skies this one high and deep into center. Back at the track, at the wall, it's gone! Solo home run for Luis Robert coming in off the bench. And the Marlins bring you within 2. Robert with his 21st home run of the season. Talk about making a statement as a spark plug, not getting the start. He's been playing a lot of baseball recently. The Marlins wanted to give him some time off, but not too much time. As we go bottom 6, Camilo Duvall comes into the game. He obviously did not start the season off well, but over the last month or so, he's looked a lot more like the Camilo Duvall we all know and love as he strikes out Andy Rodriguez. Justin Brown goes down on the sinker. We'll see if Duvall can strike out the side against Diego DeClerc. He got him! This time on the cutter. 3 Ks for Camilo Duvall here in the bottom of the 6th inning as it remains 6-4 and we move top 7. Jazz Chisholm, quiet day, 0 for 3, but he's going to rip this one into the gap, and it looks like this one will go for extra bases. Chisholm on his high horses, heads over to second with a double, and so the Marlins have a runner in scoring position. If he was going to third, he probably would have been safe, but that would have been kind of stupid if not for the hindsight. Alfredo Geronimo will come out of the bullpen for Pittsburgh. The lefty is a 3.6 ERA, and he also has a fire name as well. Alfredo Geronimo really lays off the tongue. Here's Isaac Stu into right field. It'll drop. What a day for the rookie. Isaac Stu is 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, 2 singles, a run, and now an RBI as he drives in Jazz Chisholm, and we are within 1. That'll bring in Jesus Sanchez, who's had a really nice day today. Hits this one sharply into left field, and it will be caught. Not a bad inning for the Marlins. They get one back, and we are within 1. As we go into the bottom of the 7th with a 6-5 score, and Reynaldo Lopez will come out of the bullpen for the Marlins. One of the few guys in the bullpen who's been actually pretty consistent this year as he gets Brian Reynolds to jump on the inside slider. That's a filthy pitch. Reynolds out for the first time today. Daiki Fujita's also had a great game. He hits this one into center. Luis Robert was playing deep, so because of that, this one's going to drop for a single. And Fujita has his 3rd hit of the game, and Pittsburgh has another base runner. That'll bring up Tamar Johnson. He's going to hit this one into the gap, and that's got a great opportunity to score this runner. Fujita on his high horse. He's going to look around third and will score easily. It's an RBI double for Tamar Johnson, and it is a 7-5 ball game. So the Marlins get one in the top half of the inning, and Pittsburgh gets one right back. Dalton Varsho strikes out on the fastball, and so no further damage will be done. The Marlins are back down by 2 with 2 innings to go with Pedro De La Rosa coming into the game here for the Pirates with an ERA just shy of 2. He'll face off against Dawson Wells, who already has a hit today, looking for another, and it looks like he'll get it. Wells hits it sharp into right field. It'll one-hop off the scoreboard, and that one will go for a double. So with nobody out, the Marlins have a runner here in scoring position. We'll see what they can do with him. That'll bring up the back of the order, which features Bohm and Robert coming off the bench. We'll start with Bohm. Rips a single into right field. There's nobody out. There's no reason to send the runner. He probably would have been out anyway, although that was a pretty bad throw. Maybe he would have made it in. But nonetheless, there's 2 on. Tying run aboard. Potential go-ahead run at the plate. It's Luis Robert, who already drove in a run earlier, and he gets another one. Robert, 2 for 2 off the bench as he singles that one, and a 106-mile-an-hour rocket into center, and the lead is back down to 1. Bo Bichette now, the best player on this team with 2 aboard, grounds it to short. 6-4-3, double play. Not ideal. That was a golden opportunity to tie the game, The Marlins did not capitalize, but at least they bring it within 1. It is time for Paul Sewald to pitch. 2.63 ERA on the year for Sewald. He's had a pretty good season as he strikes out Endy Rodriguez on the fastball. Now 2 away for the top of the order. Justin Brown hits this one well into right field. Sanchez at the track, at the wall. He can't make the play. Running into the wall. This one will go for a double. And so the Pirates have a runner in scoring position. However, Diego DeClercq strikes out, and Paul Sewald gets out of the inning. So it's 7-6 now, going into the top of the 9th. The Marlins need 1. Lucas Sims is in for the save. He was an all-star this year. He's been unbelievable. 31 for 33 in save ops. He has only allowed 3 runs in 33 innings. He's been ridiculous as he plunks Jazz Chisholm. So the Marlins get a base runner to start the inning, and one of their fastest ones at that. That'll bring up Woody Landry, hitless today, but 2 walks. Landry skies this one high and deep into right center. Back at the track, at the wall, it's caught. At first, I did not think that ball had a lot of carry. It just looked like it was going to go really high, but it just kept going and going and going, but it does not have enough to make it over. Isaac Stu strikes out. He was 4 for 4 before that at bat as well. And now it comes down to Jesus Sanchez, who's had runners on base in all 4 of his at-bats today, 2 for 4. And he draws a walk. That's a tough pitch to lay off, but he does. And so the potential winning run is on first base. 2 on, 2 away for the catcher, Austin Wells. And the Marlins are going to keep him in the game. They won't go for a pinch hitter. Gets hit. Looks like he checked his swing. I can't really tell if he got hit or if he tipped it. He definitely did not go around, so clearly it did not hit him, even if it looked like it did. Count is now 2-2. That pitch is going to be outside, and we are now looking at a full count with 2 away. Bowman, Robert, the next 2 up. I'm sure the Marlins would love to get those guys up if possible. The 3-2 here for Wells. Got him looking! On the fastball, he thought that pitch was a little high, a little bit inside. Doesn't get the call. Got to be more aggressive here, as that's going to do it. The Pirates win it 7-6, and Pittsburgh will win the series over Miami regardless of what happens in the last game. After Miami had swept their last 4 opponents, they are in danger of getting swept. 14 hits for both teams, plenty of offense to go around in this game. It was certainly not at the fault of our offense, and there were some situations where we could have been better with runners on base, as this team does every game. But I'm not going to complain with 14 hits and 6 runs. The offense really hit the ball well. The pitching struggled, though. Jeffrey Springs did not have his best stuff. Joe Shearer struggled a little bit out of the bullpen. We allowed runs in the 7th inning after the couple of big innings early. And unfortunately, we don't get the job done. Just didn't get enough out of the pitching. Pittsburgh's lineup was really good. So we're going to simulate to the Red Series right before the trade deadline, wrapping things up against Pittsburgh, 2 games at Yankee Stadium, then a 6-game homestand against the Pirates again, and then the Athletics. But before that, I want to go through the process of signing all of our draft picks. These are done in 3-day increments, but I'm going to put it all together at once because that's probably a lot easier for you guys to follow. And so far, so good. The 3 mid-round pitchers that we really liked, all signed. Good start. Now we've got to get the 4 position players to sign. Dennis Bautista accepts. Gilberto Villalobos does not, however. They won't even let us offer him. And then Omar Nieve and Franklin Saucedo don't have enough interest yet for us to negotiate with them. So we're going to continue to simulate as Villalobos still declines. Now we're looking at 15 days left until the deadline. Villalobos, we're going to offer him again, and he still says no. Finally, with 9 days left, he says yes. As for Omar Nieve, he accepts as well, and now it's just Franklin Saucedo. So we're going to simulate a little bit. We are now 3 days before the deadline. He would ultimately accept as well. I guess I didn't show it, but he accepted, and we've got all of our draft picks signed. We ended up going 6-3 in the games we simulated, wrapping up the Pittsburgh series with a win, splitting with the Yankees. We lost 2 of 3 against the Pirates. They won both series against us, and then we took care of business against Oakland. So with that, we are now 64-44, and check this out. The Marlins are in first place of the NL East. We're half a game ahead of the Mets. We have made up all that ground within 1 episode to put ourselves in first place leading up to the trade deadline. And interestingly, As you guys noticed, we got no trade offers today, which is a surprise because the trade market has been very active this year. A lot of moves. Nolan Jones back in Cleveland, Ryan McMahon to the Orioles, Darren Russell traded for Cristobal Estrella. Those are two prospects who we really wanted to draft back in the day. And then the other guy in that trade, Martin Carr, was another guy we almost drafted. George Springer to the Rays, Riley Green to his hometown Braves. He is now in our division. I feel like he's kind of the piece that the Braves have been missing. So I don't really like that they traded for him. And so that brings us here to the end of July. We had the second best record in baseball. A month ago, we were not sure on whether we wanted to buy or sell. I think now it's pretty obvious what we're going to do, but how are we going to do it? We obviously have to look at our long-term future while also trying to make the moves necessary to put this team in a position to make a big playoff run and hopefully win a World Series. That'll wrap up today's episode. I know it was a long one, but we had a lot of stuff to cover today. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.